What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Alex, joined today by my co-host, Ryan. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. Trying not to go stir crazy. Hope you're doing the same, and hope you guys are all staying healthy out there.
Yeah, so we have a special episode for you guys this week. We're doing our first mock draft of the offseason. It's the mock draft 1.0. I have the odd picks. Ryan has the even picks, and we are just doing the first round. You got anything to add, Ryan?
No trades.
No trades, yes. No trades. The trades will be in the next mock draft we end up doing. I guess I can get it started. We can start hot and early, you know? The Cincinnati Bengals, with the number one overall pick, they're going to take Joe Burrow, quarterback, LSU. Pretty easy.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, I mean, you know, mine doesn't really... You could really shake my mock draft up with who you take it for, but the first three picks for me were pretty easy. But let's see who Ryan took.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be like every other mock draft you've seen for like the first three picks, like you said. With the second pick, I think the Redskins have to take Chase Young, the defensive end out of Ohio State. I've seen a lot of people, well, not a lot, but I've seen a few people say that, you know, like they have Ryan Kerrigan, they have Montez Sweat. They don't really need like that presence on the D-line as much as they do like maybe a guy like Jeff Okudah or maybe taking a quarterback like Tua. You know, and honestly, I think that the Redskins are going to trade back here, but obviously we're not doing trades. And, you know, they've said Chase Young is going to be a generational talent on the defensive line. Better than both Bosa brothers. And, I mean, Joey Bosa just won Nick Bosa just won Defensive Rookie of the Year. So, I mean, like, you've got to take somebody when you have the chance to. If they don't, they're going to look back on this and really just feel bad about their pick.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Chase Young's a generational talent. And like you said, I don't think Washington ends up with this pick, but... So I would imagine Chase Young's probably going to be a Detroit Lion, but we will see. But with the third overall pick, Detroit is going to take cornerback Jeff Okudah from Ohio State. I just think after losing Darius Slay, I know they added Desmond Trufant, but Okudah seems like one of the better defensive players in this draft, if not the best corner. I debated Isaiah Simmons here, but I think it looks as if Jeff Okudah is going to go to Detroit.
Which I think is a really good pickup. They just got rid of Darius Slay. And, I mean, they brought Desmond Trufant in, but they need that solid number two. And, I mean, I think that, you know, Okudah is going to start as a number two and quickly move his way into the number one conversation. I think Trufant is going to be that number two by the end of 2020. And, I mean, I think Okudah's got a lot of potential, and I think the Lions are going to get a good pickup right there if that's the direction they go.
I agree.
Moving on to pick 4, I had a lot of trouble with this because there's so many directions that the Giants could go, and I guess I'll tell you both players that I was struggling with is Clemson's linebacker Isaiah Simmons, and I was also debating Tristan Wirfs. I can't remember where he went to school.
Iowa.
I think it was
Iowa,
yeah. The offensive tackle out of Iowa. I could see them going either way. They kind of need that spark on defense, but they also, you know, really need help on the offensive line. But I could also see them trading this, so I really don't know where to go. To spice things up, I think I am going to go offensive line. I'm going to take Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa.
I love that pick, mostly because I also had them taking a tackle. I did not have it being Tristan Wirfs, but you could have really screwed up my mock if you would have taken Isaiah Simmons. So, yeah, I think they just need to protect Daniel Jones, worry about the defense a little bit later. And they brought in, what is that linebacker's name? Blake Martinez. So, I mean, they don't really need Isaiah Simmons, but he's a dynamic defensive player, and they could use him. At 5, I have Miami taking quarterback Tua Tagovailoa from Alabama. Right now, they need a quarterback, and personally, I think Tua is the best quarterback in this draft. And if he falls to them at 5, I think they will be very, very quick to turn in that note that says Tua's name on it, especially after he got the clean bill of health earlier today. So yeah, 5, Miami takes Tua Tagovailoa.
And you're 100% like Tua does not need a redshirt year. He can just start right away over Fitz.
The report
Right?
that came out today was Tua Tagovailoa is 100% healthy and he is ready to play football right now. So yeah, I think Tua would be the starter if they draft him. I honestly think they'd probably take him at 2 or 3, not 5. But I think Tua is the starter for the Miami Dolphins at the beginning of the season.
Getting off to like one minor side note, like I don't want to disrupt the
Yeah, go ahead.
draft too hard, but like, there's been a lot of reports that like Miami might be interested in like trading up for Joe Burrow, or maybe even trading up just to secure the fact that they get Tua. Who do you think their biggest competitor would be in trading up for a quarterback?
The Chargers.
I like that.
Either the Chargers or New England. I think
See, what I was thinking was Jacksonville, because they have multiple first round picks this year that they could swap to get up there.
that's true. I just have a weird feeling that Jacksonville is gonna draft or sign either Cam or Jameis, and try and grab Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence next year. But yeah, it's Jacksonville, it's the Patriots, and it's the Chargers are pretty much the only teams that would move up. I think Carolina would only move up if maybe Tua was there at 5. They'd try and make a deal with the Giants, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean that would definitely be. Yeah, I'm excited to see how this plays out because it's gonna be really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't wait for this draft. I'm excited to see who you take at 6 right here.
All right. See, I've been trying to figure out exactly where to go with this, and on paper the Chargers look so good. They look like almost a complete team. They got better on the offensive line. Their defensive line is solid. They've got Melvin Ingram, and Osa, and now Linval Joseph. Like they've got a solid defensive line, solid linebackers, amazing secondary, great wide receiver group. So who are they going to take? Well, the one thing that they're missing right now is the starting quarterback. As of right now, Tyrod Taylor is going to be their starter. And, he hasn't been a starter in the league for, 2 years?
Yeah.
He lost his job to Baker Mayfield last year, like 3 games in. Tyrod is a serviceable quarterback, and I think that he is a top-tier backup. But I think that this team's going to need something more, and I think that if Tyrod's going to be your starter and you're not going to go sign Jameis Winston or Cam, you're going to need a quarterback. So I'm going to take Justin Herbert, the quarterback out of Oregon, for the Chargers. I know that's a basic pick, and a lot of people are mocking him there, but I think that is honestly the best fit right there.
See, I'll go ahead and tell you who I had at 6. I had Jordan Love, quarterback, Utah State. But yeah, I think no matter what, I think they go quarterback. They need to put seats in that new stadium that they just built, and Tyrod doesn't really do that. So I like Herbert or Love there. I just am higher on Love than I think Ryan is. But at 7, I think this one's pretty obvious for me. Honestly, I think Carolina either takes Jeff Okudah or Isaiah Simmons or Derek Brown. But at 7, they're going to take linebacker Isaiah Simmons, try and replace Luke Kuechly on that defense, and just add a dynamic playmaker. So yeah, Carolina gets their linebacker of the future.
I like that, and I think if Simmons falls that hard, that they're gonna have an absolute field day. But
I think if he gets past 4, he's a Panther.
Yeah, honestly, I could see it where you guys might actually trade up to secure him because he's a stud, man. I'm excited to see him play.
Yeah, this is the first real draft that I think our owner might do something crazy, so I'm very curious about this. But who do you have at 8 going to Arizona?
Well, I could see Arizona trading back, but as we've mentioned about 16 times already. No trades. I'm also struggling with Arizona, but I'm gonna go with. This has been the pick for me for a while. I just think that I love the fit, and in a second you'll know why. I'm gonna take CeeDee Lamb,
Ooh.
the wide receiver out of Oklahoma. I think that he's Kingsbury's gonna want to reunite Lamb with his college quarterback Kyler Murray, and I mean that wide receiving room would be just dangerous.
Yeah, I did not have a wide receiver going there. I had them taking a tackle in Tristan Wirfs, but I just think since they made the trade for D Hop, I don't think wide receivers that high on their priority anymore, because they'll have Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, and D Hop, and you got to protect the asset in the tiny man Kyler Murray. But I like it.
That's true. Well, I thought about that. That was what I was torn between. But I mean, Larry Fitzgerald is going to retire in a year. Like that's a thing.
Definitely.
And I know they've got Christian Kirk, but I mean, they got to look towards the future and having that. I mean, that wide receiver
God,
room would
that
be
wide receiver room would be insane if they drafted CeeDee Lamb. Wow. I didn't even think about that for them. I didn't even think wide receiver really because of the D Hop trade. But at 9, I think Jacksonville uses their first pick in this first round on Derek Brown, defensive tackle from Auburn. Um, I just feel like Jacksonville loves to go defense in the draft, especially early. And I think he's probably the best defensive player left on the board. He's a nose tackle, but he's huge, and he just disrupts things. And yeah, I think he'll fit in great with the rest of those guys because I'm going to guess that Yannick Ngakoue is going to get traded. So, Derek Brown, defensive tackle, Auburn.
Yeah, and I mean, they just got rid of Marcel Darius, so I like that. I like the fit there. Going to Cleveland, I think it's very obvious where they've needed to rebuild. And they signed Jack Conklin on the offensive line. But I think they're going to need to be doing a little bit more than that. So I'm going to have them taking Jedrick Wills Jr., the offensive tackle out of Alabama. I think that's the easiest fit for them. And that really, just honestly makes them a better team because it builds that offensive line just one step further.
Definitely. See, at 11, I had CeeDee Lamb going to the Jets. But I'm actually going to change that to yeah, we're just going to move a guy up. We're going to take Jerry Jeudy at 11 for the Jets because currently I can't name one Jets wide receiver. So they need a star. Judy's the best route runner in this entire draft class, and I think he'll help Sam Darnold a lot with his crispness. So yeah, Jerry Jeudy to the Jets.
I like that because it's unique because, so many people have just, written them off as taking OL. I like that you looked at it from a different perspective because they really don't have any receivers. So, I mean,
Not that. I mean, they have nobody.
The best ones. Yeah. I think they have Perriman, but I like him as a number one kind of scares me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to also go wide receiver here. At number 12 for the Las Vegas Raiders. I think that, playing Tyreek Hill twice a year, they realize how important speed is. So I think they're going to take Henry Ruggs the third, the wide receiver out of Alabama.
Okay. I had him going to the next pick, but I like that one. I think San Francisco. Oh, this might be a little bit of a reach. I don't know if I want to do that. Let me think about this for a second. No, we'll do it. I think San Francisco is going to take a wide receiver to add, or actually to replace Emmanuel Sanders, the guy that they lost in free agency. And I think that they will take Justin Jefferson, wide receiver out of LSU, because of his great combine. And you took the other wide receivers.
Love it.
If I'm being honest.
Well, with 14, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just signed Tom Brady. That's somebody. He's not a mobile quarterback that you can just kind of blow that coverage off. Like he has to be protected at all time. Tom Brady is a crisp pocket passer, so you have to make sure that he actually has a pocket to throw in. So I'm going to take Mekhi Becton, the offensive tackle out of Louisville.
Oh, okay. I mean, I also had them taking a tackle. I just had Becton going higher, so I didn't have it as him. I had Andrew Thomas from Georgia. But yeah, I think that they're going to definitely try and just protect Tom Brady the best they can by getting him some sort of offensive line help. And he's one of the best out there. So at 15, I have CJ Henderson, cornerback from Florida, going to Denver. I think that they just need to add some young talent to that defense, especially at the corner position. Because, like, right now, who's their best corner?
Couldn't tell you.
I am literally going to have to Google it. Is it Roby? Is he still on the team? Oh, it's AJ Boye. What are we talking about? Isn't he on the team?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's probably. But yeah, on the other side of AJ Boye, I think it's gonna be CJ Henderson from Florida, corner. Oh, they also have Bryce Callahan.
I mean, I like that corner. I like that secondary you're creating in there with adding Henderson. So I think that Vic Fangio gets somebody that he really likes on defense. So I think it's a good fit.
Just out of curiosity, who would you have taken at 15 for Denver? Because they were a hard team to pick for me.
That's I saw Denver at 15. I was like, ooh, I'm glad I'm not on this one. I would have maybe looked into doing offensive line, maybe Andrew Thomas.
Okay.
Maybe even taking the guy who I'm about to take, Javon Kinlaw.
Dude, that's exactly who I had going to Atlanta.
Really?
Yeah, at 16 I had Javon Kinlaw.
Twins. I was just going to say, because, I mean, he's fallen pretty hard in this mock so far, so I think that, I mean, I originally kind of wanted Henderson to go to Atlanta because, the Falcons secondary is also trash.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I feel like any other corner would be kind of a reach at this point, so they might either trade back or just take the best player on the board, which also helps their defensive line, which is also kind of in need. So I'd take Javon Kinlaw, the defensive lineman out of South Carolina.
Okay, so at 18, I don't think I'm going to pronounce this guy's name correctly. 17, my bad. The Dallas Cowboys are going to select... Jeez. I feel like I should know how to say this name. He's the edge rusher, Kavlon? Do you know what I'm talking about? How do you say his name?
Chason?
There we go. That guy.
It might rhyme.
They're going to take Kavon Chason, outside linebacker from LSU, and I think he's going to end up moving to edge rusher. He had 6.5 sacks and 13 tackles for loss in 2019. And I think he'll just really help on the other side of that defensive line for Dallas. I considered a center here, but I didn't really like any of the centers. So, not at 17. I didn't like any of them. And I also considered wide receiver, but I didn't think any of them were... I think that they can get a wide receiver later in the draft.
Yeah, I feel like this draft is really, tackle heavy, but the interior line is very, middle of the pack.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, with 18, I am sending Andrew Thomas, the tackle out of Georgia, to the Miami Dolphins because they need to protect that guy Tua you just drafted for him. And I think that's honestly the best tackle on the board, and I think they'd honestly be getting a steal if they got him at 18.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. I had them taking running back DeAndre Swift, but I also had them taking a tackle, though, later in the draft. So I like that pick a lot. At 19, I have the Las Vegas Raiders helping their defense by taking defensive end A.J. Epineza. I know he had a terrible combine. He was incredibly slow, but I think Gruden will really like him, and I think if with the right coaching, he could become a real defensive presence.
I like that. I am just kind of sweeping all of the offensive linemen off the board.
Go ahead. I also had Jacksonville taking one, so.
So with pick 20, I'm gonna take Josh Jones out of Houston, just to beef up that offensive line just a little bit more for Gardner Minshew or whoever else might be under center in 2020.
Nice, nice. I like that. At 21, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to take wide receiver T. Higgins from Clemson. I know Ryan is not high on T, but
Nope.
I think it was between him and Laviska Shenault. I think T. Higgins is a little bit better, and I think Laviska Shenault reminds me too much of Alshon Jeffrey, and you don't want two of those wide receivers. So, yeah, at 21, T. Higgins.
I like it.
But you don't, because you don't like T. Higgins.
I don't like T. Higgins, but I like that they took a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of Eagles fans would rather have Laviska Shenault. And I think they honestly might rather take Shenault and just get rid of Jeffrey altogether.
That's true. If they didn't have Jeffrey, it was probably going to be Shenault for me.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, a lot of Eagles fans who are hoping Ruggs falls, but I just don't see it.
There's no way he goes to 21.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Well, with 22, what should be my Buffalo Bills first-round pick is actually going to be with the Minnesota Vikings. And I am going to have them taking this is kind of a shock because I feel like this guy's not really on a lot of people's radars. But I'm going to take Jeff Gladney, the cornerback at a TCU, just because they lost Mackenzie Alexander and Trey Waynes, and they cut Xavier Rhodes. So talent-wise, I feel like they got rid of like their three best corners. So they're going to need somebody to beef that room up a little bit.
I love that pick, actually. I also had them taking a corner, just a different one. At 24, I think New Orleans actually helps Michael Thomas and Drew Brees in that offense out a little bit, and I think they take Jalen Reagor.
23 is New England.
Yep, sure is, Ryan. I read the wrong draft pick, so I appreciate you catching me on that one. At 23, the New England Patriots are actually going to take their quarterback of the future. It was going to be Justin Herbert, but he got taken earlier, so now it's Jordan Love, Utah State.
Wow.
I think they go quarterback, so I think it's whatever quarterback's left. I mean, they need a ton of help on that team. They're very old. But I think if Herbert or Love is there, and even maybe if... Why can't I think of his name? Jacob... Is it? No. Is it Jacob?
Fromm?
No, Jacob Eason? Yeah, Jacob Eason from Washington is there, then he goes. I think they take one of those quarterbacks. And if none of them are there, maybe Jake Fromm. But who knows? What would you do for New England?
I would kind of beef up their defense, either like defensive line or linebacker. I was thinking like Yorder Gross-Matos out of Penn State, just coming off the edge. But I like the pick of the future. I like the quarterback, so I'm not mad at it.
All right. You're 24 now. Sorry, I read off my pick for the Saints. My fault.
No, you're good. This is kind of a head scratcher to me because I was trying to figure out, who the Saints really needed, and I feel like a lot of people have them going at quarterback. But I'm gonna have them go defense. I think they're gonna take Patrick Queen, the linebacker out of LSU.
I actually love that pick for them.
Hometown boy.
Yeah, I love that pick, honestly. At 25, I think... Now, I'm going to probably need help with this guy's last name because I'm probably going to say it wrong. But I think Minnesota takes offensive tackle Lucas... Ryan, his last name starts with an N. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I do, but I also...
Lucas Nige? That's not how you say that, but sure, that's his name. Lucas Nige out of TCU. He's a tackle. I think they just extended Kirk Cousins. He's going to need somebody to protect him back there. I consider defensive end here just because Everson Griffin is leaving, but I think protecting your asset is more important.
I like it. Well, at 26, I'm going to draft the guy that you were going to draft at 18.
Oh, nice.
Um, I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift, the running back out of Georgia. I think having a nice running mate for Jordan Howard is going to be very important. And I mean, they have the quarterback now. They got the offensive tackle that they needed. Now they have the running back to help the running game. So I think this is the best fit for them. And I think this is a guy they're really keying in on.
Me too. I think it's either him or Jonathan Taylor, but I think it'll end up being Swift, which is crazy because you didn't really hear that much about him during last season.
No.
Like, he kind of emerged after the season as the favorite running back, and I was like, oh, that's a little surprising to me, but okay. With what pick am I? 27? Yeah.
Yes.
The Seattle Seahawks are going to take a safety because they just had to cut their current safety, Tedrick Thompson, because of an injury. So they're going to take Grant Delpit, safety out of LSU. I debated Xavier McKinnon, but I think Delpit fits their style more.
I actually really like that because when you said safety, I was like, oh, he's going to take McKinney. And then you took Delpit, which is surprising because, I mean, I've seen a lot of people kind of have him, like, kind of early second round because, you know, he had a solid combine, but he looked really weird in that national championship game. I still believe in him a lot, so I really like the pick, and I like the fit in Seattle.
At the beginning of last year, I wanted Carolina to take Grant Delpit, like, high in the first round.
Oh, yeah, no, dude, I think he's an exceptional player. He just had a really bad game in the national championship.
Yeah, the moment looked a little too big for him, but I think he could be a replacement, kind of like Cam Chancellor, obviously not as good, but I think he could really help that Seattle defense.
Yeah, I honestly, like, the more we talk about it, the more I absolutely love that fit for him in Seattle. So I really love that pick.
Thanks, man.
For Baltimore, I'm kind of debating a lot of different people right here.
What positions?
Well, I'm thinking of linebacker, and I'm also thinking of interior offensive line because they just lost Marshall Yanda.
Yep.
One of the greatest guards of, I guess, the past 2 decades. But I am going to lean towards, I think that they would have an easier time developing like a round 2 or 3 linebacker into a starter than a second or third round offensive lineman. So I'm going to go interior offensive lineman out of Michigan, Cesar Ruiz.
Yep, I considered him for the Cowboys, but I didn't want to take him that high to be their center.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually like that pick. You got to protect your asset, and they can develop him. That team's good enough that if they have a weak interior offensive lineman, the team can help around him. At 29, I think the Tennessee Titans actually go safety. No, cornerback. My bad. Not safety. Corner, Trayvon Diggs from Alabama.
I like that. He's supposed to be going to Buffalo. He's our guy. He's Stefan's brother.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's his little brother.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, there's no chance he drops to the second round, not to Buffalo. But
true. Yeah, because we're like at the end of the second round.
Now, these last 3 picks are some of the most curious to me, what you do at 30 and 32. Because 32 seems like a lock for me, but I would love to know who you're taking, but let's see who you take at 30.
All right. See, this is a head scratcher for me, too.
30 was a hard one for me when I was doing this mock draft, because I went ahead and did everybody, but 30 was a difficult one.
Man, you did your homework.
Not really. I did it about an hour before this.
I'm going to go. See, they just signed Devin Funchess.
They did.
To be a running mate with Devontae Adams. But, Devin Funchess is kind of like a shaky investment. So I'm going to take a wide receiver here. And I'm going to go with Denzel Mims out of Baylor.
Nice. I like that. He's a speedster. Kind of reminds me of T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, I think him with Devin Funchess and Devontae Adams would be the wide receiving core that Aaron Rodgers has needed for like 5 years.
I agree. I was gonna have them take a tight end, Cole Kmet from Notre Dame, just because
I like that.
they cut Jimmy Graham, and I'm not sure if they even have a tight end on the roster right now.
They got Mercedes Lewis, but yeah, he's nowhere
Dude,
near the same
Mercedes
type
Lewis
of
has
production.
to be 50. I feel like
I
he's
think
been
he's
playing
close.
football since the day I was born. I'm
I
so
mean, he
serious.
is pretty old. He's like midway through his 30s at this point.
Huh? All right. At 31, I have San Francisco taking the other safety that we talked about earlier, Xavier McKinnon.
I like that.
Help bolster that already ferocious defense, and him just flying around back there. It'll be interesting. If it wasn't him, it was going to be Antonio Winfield Jr. But yeah, that's my guy, Xavier McKinnon.
All right. 32. This is. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on
There's
this one.
not. There's not. There's just a guy I really want to go to the Chiefs. So, and I'll tell you after you make your pick.
I was about to say I'm excited to hear it. But I'm gonna go. This. See, the problem with the Chiefs is they are really like all put together in terms of like offensive weapons. They have Mahomes. They have Tyreek Hill, Hardman, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelsey, you name it. They have a decent offensive line, so that's not really needing to be addressed right now. But their defense has been crumbling, man. They have a strong defensive line and Tyrann Mathieu, and that's it.
That's
Outside of that, everything's kind of eh.
that's actually very funny that you said that because while you were talking, I was trying to think what their team needs were. So I googled it. Guess what CBS has as their number one team need?
Running back.
Defensive line.
Are you kidding?
Running back is the sixth one on the list. They have defensive line, cornerback, interior offensive line, linebacker, edge rusher, and then running back.
Please tell me you said corner and not quarterback.
No, corner.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, that's a miss. Dude, I can't even name one of their... Okay, because Kendall Fuller, their best corner, just left.
Yeah, who is on their roster?
And Bashad Breeland is a free agent. So, like, that's their top two right there.
I'm looking right now to see who their corners are on their depth chart.
Actually, that just kind of made the decision for me. They're taking cornerback Jalen Johnson out of Utah. That's who I'm taking.
I like that pick. That dude is big. Also, by the way, their starting corner right now is Charvarius Ward.
Yeah, he's pretty good, but he's more of a depth guy.
Well, then
like CB1.
after that, they have Alex Brown, who I've never even heard of, and Rashad Fenton.
Yeah, lots of no names in that secondary. I'm not really into it.
Well, now you kind of convinced me off of my pick at 32, who was Jonathan Taylor, running back from Wisconsin. Because just imagine having that big bruiser back there and then having Patty Mahomes throwing it deep. But now that you mention that, I think that they could probably get someone like Clyde Edwards from LSU in the second. So they probably do go corner at 32. But
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
you go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'd be really surprised if the Chiefs did not lean towards defense with that first round pick. I love the Jonathan Taylor fit, and I think that would be truly amazing because they do really need a running back outside of Damian Williams. But their defense is just too bad to not address. If they want to keep winning Super Bowls, they have to beef it up.
True. I mean, maybe they could trade back into the top of the second, and draft a running back. But I think, like you said, corner is probably the biggest team need right now, seeing how we don't even know who their starters are. But yeah, guys, that wraps up the first mock draft of Hold the Phones off season. We love all the extra support that we've been getting on the YouTube and on the Twitter. You got anything else for him, Ryan?
I don't really think so. I mean, I think this went a lot better than our first mock draft last year. Last year, we were just kind of stumbling through it.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was really cringy. But this one, we were quick and confident and precise. I like it.
I'm excited for the one with trades, but I think that's going to wrap up this week's episode. We'll come back at you next week. Hopefully, there'll be more NFL news. We're getting closer and closer to that NFL draft, man, which luckily it hasn't been canceled because of Corona. But until next time, we appreciate you guys. Have a good weekend.